What's up, everybody? JV Wins, Dogon SS. We are back once again for another edition of the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in, riding along with us as we continue to kick this logical content. Before we get things kicked off, I want to say, as always, major shouts out to everybody who's been subscribing to the channel, leaving those like buttons, leaving those comments, letting us know what you think about any of our various talking points in any of the videos that we upload to the channel. We certainly appreciate the support. It comes at no cost to you to hit that like button or leave a comment or subscribe to the channel. But I also very much value one's activity currency in general. It does mean something because I don't hit the like button on everything. I don't leave comments on everything. I don't subscribe to everything. So there is value in it. And if you felt so inclined to subscribe to our channel, it does mean the world to us. So we appreciate that. And to anyone else who has not subscribed to the channel, if this is your first time checking us out, come kick it with us, man. This is what we all about. This is what we do each and every week. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, leave those comments. Let us know where you think we went right. Let us know where you think we went wrong. Let us know where you think we are completely, totally, absolutely insane and out of our minds. Also, do want to say, as always, we are now available on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So if you are not in position to check us out on YouTube, if you're at work and you can't stream video because the manager will come around the corner and think you ain't doing no work just because you're streaming a little video, pop them headphones in, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. We are also there in audio form. So give us a shout out on those platforms as well, man, as we continue to kick this logical content and keep things rocking and rolling. Now, with those pleasantries out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off with tonight's videos. The first thing that we are going to discuss are interesting comments that were made by Isiah Thomas. For all the tweens out there, Isiah Thomas is an NBA legend. He's an NBA legend from the mid to late 80s and the early 90s. He was a part of back-to-back championships with the Detroit Pistons. He's one of the greatest point guards ever. We don't need to go down the list. He's a great player. He has cachet. When he speaks, people tend to listen whenever it comes to the NBA. He's been a general manager in the NBA. He's been a head coach in the NBA. And now he's a media person. And he pontificates and he opines on NBA TV, giving his opinions. And on a recent, I think this was NBA Game Time. I think that's the name of the show that he said this particular thing on NBA TV. They cut to LeBron warming up before a game against the Houston Rockets. LeBron is shirtless. And Isiah Thomas took exception, saying that if anything should be fined in the NBA, we should find that. He used this as an example to display how professionalism in the NBA has completely dissipated, how there is no more professionalism in the league. We have gone backwards. We have regressed in terms of professionalism. He also made comments about head coaches going back to wearing suits. He got a cosign by that from Steve Smith, another former player. So we'll go ahead and listen to what Isiah Thomas had to say. This definitely caught the airwaves on the mainstream sports talking shows. And people had some opinions on this. We are no exception to this, of course. So here is Isiah Thomas going at the face of the NBA, LeBron James, for warming up before the game without a shirt on and saying that the professionalism in the NBA has diminished.
Second part of our doubleheader tonight, LeBron James going to play the game like this. Shirts and skins is what they're doing tonight.
I just totally 100% object to this. And if I was the GM or coach,
Me too.
I would never let one of my players walk out on the floor looking like this. I mean, we are a professional NBA league. We ain't summer league. We ain't at the YMCA.
Listen, I think coaches got to go back to suits.
Absolutely.
I just mean
absolutely. I just think
college and pro.
I just think the professionalism in our NBA league has diminished so much. And I look, I like LeBron. I'm a fan of his, so forth and so on. But to walk out on the floor before a game with no shirt on and shoot, I mean, come on, man. Where we at? What we doing? Where we at? Now, if you want to, Adam Silver, if you want to find somebody, find that. Put a fine on that.
Spoken by the Hall of Famer and the greatest player in Pistons history, Isiah Thomas. Second half has begun between the Bucks and the Pistons.
All right, there you go. So it was not NBA game time. They were doing studio analysis for a Bucks Pistons game toward the end of the season there. Yeah, he put a lot of emphasis on his F's there. That's how strongly he feels about this. He had to put the extra oomph on the fine that. So what is your analysis of Isiah Thomas's comments? Was he fair? Was he inbounds, out of bounds, calling LeBron out, using him as an example to say that professionalism in the NBA is diminished?
I feel like it's excuse my French here, but I feel like it's a typical old head take, man. It's an old head, get off my lawn take. Nobody wants to hear that, of the newer generation, the younger people. They feel like he's, blowing it out of proportion. There's bigger fish to fry. There's more unprofessional things they would say that is going on across the league. But as you intimated, that we're dealing with the face of the NBA right now. And if LeBron's running around shirtless, I think that might start something, where other guys feel like they can, do the same thing. And, it's not setting the appropriate precedent, I would say, as far as being professional and carrying, even though they're playing a game, carrying this like they actually have a job. And so, going out there shirtless is, no shirt, no shoes, no service kind of deal. It's, hey man, get out there and act like you're a professional. So I get that. But unfortunately, we're dealing with the age of nobody being professional anymore. So every day is casual Friday at work. Nobody's wearing suits anymore to work. Everybody's wearing slacks and, buttoned up, open button shirts. Nobody's wearing, those hard bottom uncomfortable shoes anymore. Everybody's wearing these business casuals, loafers, tennis shoes. So where is anybody being air quote professional anymore? And I feel as though that, nowadays, man, I think we talked about this in previous topics where, younger people, they have this thing about being professional that it means not being yourself.
Yeah.
Being this amalgamated work slave type of situation. And, if they come into work feeling like how they feeling a little bit more casual, then they feel like there's a part of themselves they're reclaiming, even though they're working on the clock. So when I was, I think I shared this story here too, man. But when I first started working, man, in the workforce back in the good old days in 2004. Yeah, man, my first job, man, I was out there working at Target. And, everybody came in there with they red shirts tucked in their khakis. And I wasn't having none of that, man. So, yeah, bro, I had my 4X red t-shirt untucked. You know what I'm saying? I had Dickies on, man. I ain't had no regular old, no regular khakis. I had Dickies on. creased up, with Chuck Taylors on. And yeah, red Chucks, man. I mean, I'm just in there, man, with big old rope chain. You know what I'm saying? My badge situation. Sometimes I have it up there, sometimes I have it on the rope chain. But I'm just at work, just not following protocol. They let it slide a day or two. It was like, hey, who is this new guy think he is? But nobody really said anything, you know. It wasn't until the rest of the staff started, especially the dudes in the back room, they were just coming out, like we in the streets. And one thing about Target, it ain't Walmart. You know what I'm saying? So once the supervisors got a hold of that, they was like, yeah, we can't have this anymore. So they started cracking down. I still would do my thing here and there, but for the most part, they just weren't having it anymore. So moral of that little story is, I understand where LeBron's coming from in a sense of, yeah, this is how they used to do things, but hey, man, I'm just out here trying to get a sweat. I'm just trying to get a sweat, man. There's nobody in the stands yet. I'm just trying to, get a sweat. And yeah, that's how y'all used to do things, man. But we the new age, that kind of energy, and and also the part where people adopt to it. I understand that aspect of it. That okay, well, one guy's doing it and he's getting away with it. Everybody else feel like they can do it, and it might be a problem. So I get where both sides are coming from on this, honestly, man. Normally I'm quick to blow LeBron up, but I get where he's coming from. He's probably got a million reasons of why it's not a big deal, and I hear that. But I also see where Isaiah's coming from, because there's probably a million reasons why he should wear one. So all in all, I think this is just a difference in generations overall. And it's not just on NBA where professionalism is lacking. It's in other sports and in other regular everyday jobs. But what are your thoughts, man, on Sir LeBron running around here shirtless and Isiah Thomas calling him out for not being a professional? What are your thoughts, man?
I have respect for Isiah Thomas, but unfortunately, he has put me in the compromised position of having to defend LeBron. Like it gives me no pleasure in doing this, because I jump at the first opportunity that I have to destroy LeBron in each and every respect, in each and every way that I can, deservedly so, by the way. But I kind of feel like Isiah Thomas was being get off my lawn guy in this instant. I think he was. Remember when we talked about Will Smith and Chris Rock?
Mm-hmm.
And my theory was, in that moment when Will Smith went up there and did that, he wasn't actually slapping Chris Rock. He was slapping everyone else through Chris Rock.
Mm-hmm.
So all the pent up frustration and anger that he was dealing with, being caught up in the rapture created by his own spouse, for the most part, he let it all out in that instance against Chris Rock. But he really wasn't attacking Chris Rock. He was going at everybody else. He was going at, Rick Ross, August Alsina, the Red Table Talk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Jada herself. He was slapping her too at that point. This is what I feel like Isiah Thomas was doing. I think Isiah Thomas was using this as an opportunity to rail against what he perceives to be an overall lack of professionalism in the NBA. He was using LeBron as the conduit to channel his frustration. Look, it gives me no pleasure in defending LeBron, but in this instant, I have to, to be fair, for the sake of being reasonable, it was several hours before the game. There were no fans in the building. There wasn't even media in the building. No one was there but him. So he took that opportunity to do what he wanted to do with his shirt off during warm-ups. I mean, prior to warm-ups. I'm going to give LeBron credit for the majority of his front-facing career. He's handled himself professionally. Now, he does a lot of passive-aggressive, sneaky, underhanded things behind the scenes. But when it comes to forward-facing behavior, he's held himself in high regard, in my opinion. He's never tried to buck on a contract. He's never quit. Well, no, I believe he has quit in games before.
He's quit.
He's quit. He's quit in games before, but he's always played out the length of his entire contract. He's never tried to force trades. He's never tried to demand out. He's never publicly gotten people fired. I believe he's gotten people fired behind closed doors, but he's never publicly spoken out against people and gotten them fired. Those kinds of things. So, when it comes to professionalism outwardly, I kind of really don't have any gripes with the guy. He's pretty much held himself in decent enough esteem. I think what Isiah Thomas was doing was just venting his frustration of what he perceives to be an overall lack of professionalism in the NBA. And I think if you want to go there, there's far better examples with which to do that than LeBron warming up several hours before a game with no shirt on. You can point to Jimmy Butler, who napalmed my team's entire season this year because he felt slighted that he wasn't given an extension, despite the fact that he purposefully deprioritizes playing hard at his job. So, you got people like Jimmy Butler, who created his own problems and then decides that he wants to ask for an extension. And when the organization says, no, we want you to be more committed and play more games and play hard in those games, he takes it as a slight and decides that he's going to quit on the season, which resulted in my favorite team, the Miami Heat, essentially having a napalm year completely. Completely forcing his way out, he created an environment in which there was no other option for him to be traded, almost for pennies on the dollar, to put him in an advantageous situation and give us back what is non-commensurate return for a player of his caliber. That is far more unprofessional than LeBron playing with no shirt on. You can point to James Harden napalming the Philadelphia 76ers, going overseas to China and calling the general manager of his team a liar and saying that he's never going to play another game so long as he's so long as he's in the front office, forcing the team to trade him. You got Ben Simmons, who quite literally quit playing basketball.
Unbelievable.
And used mental health at a time when no one's going to argue against mental health as his justification for why he can't play basketball, when really he was too mentally weak to deal with the media fanfare in Philadelphia and decided to quit and force his way out of a situation after receiving a very, very lucrative contract, guaranteed. So these are actually, and I think an old head like Isiah Thomas hates that stuff and really wants to go at that stuff. But at that moment in time, he's just like, oh, LeBron's here playing with his shirt off. So let me just use this as my opportunity to talk about professionalism diminishing in the NBA. So I believe he's right. It has. But much like you, I also believe professionalism in general, in humanity, has diminished across the board. Not just in sports, but in everyday life, in everyday workplaces. I don't care if we're talking about the drive-through at McDonald's or if we're talking about, hiring landscapers to work on your house. You need somebody to handle your plumbing. You're calling a call center because you need customer service support. I don't care what aspect of professionalism you are trying to engage in this day and age. There is a noticeable, precipitous drop in terms of service and professionalism across the board, not just in professional sports. Professional sports is merely a microcosm of what we are seeing, which is humanity's propensity for increasingly being more lazy, selfish, apathetic, dismissive towards the notion of commitment and hard work in general. And when you observe all of that overall, you're going to see pockets of it in professional sports. But this is a humanity thing as far as I'm concerned. You went exactly where I was going to go. Professionalism everywhere is almost completely dissipated. And in various areas of the NBA, it is also gone. I don't think coaches needing to wear suits means anything. I don't think that matters because I don't think coaches, for the most part, have contributed to lack of professionalism in the NBA. I think that's mostly been a labor issue with players essentially running roughshod on the NBA. because of an environment that Adam Silver created where players are ultimately empowered to essentially do whatever they want. And because it's a superstar league, a players league, they get illicit permission to do these things, even though it drives down the overall quality of the product of the sport. So I don't think coaches have contributed to that more than players have. Some coaches have been bad faith actors, but I think that's mostly a labor thing. And I think guys like Isiah Thomas resent that because, number one, they never had the chance to exercise any of those liberties in their playing days. So there's some envy that they're probably experiencing in that regard, but also because it is objectively displaying an overall lack of professionalism. But if you want to point to the NBA as an example of a lack of professionalism, I can give you dozens of reasons before I get to LeBron warming up without a shirt. And additionally, I can give you several reasons as to why that is merely a microcosm of what I observe as professionalism no longer being anything that human beings in general care about.
Yeah, man. But I got a little pushback, man. I do think that coaches not wearing suits, I think that means something. I don't think it's like a really big thing, and I don't think it's going to be, earth changing, a showstopper. But at the same time, I do feel like it's a respect factor that comes along with it. I can speak for myself, man. You know, some people like to blow off steam. Some people like to, go to the club or go whatever. Me personally, I like going to the grocery store. That's always been my thing. And so I would always go to the grocery store, whether I just got off work, before work, just woke up. So I go in there all kinds of ways. And so historically, what I've noticed, man, if I'm just in there, just whatever, man, just looking low key or whatever, I get low key treatment, from the people that work there to the patrons. But then, man, if I went in there with like work clothes, like when I did security, when I went in there with my uniform, ultimate respect. If there was some reason I was wearing a button-up shirt, some khaki pants or something like that, or some slacks or something like that, hell, even a tie for whatever reason, utmost respect. Of course, these people don't know me, blah, blah, please. But, just imagine, man, if you had a principal that wore a suit every day to work versus a guy that walks in there with whatever the hell these coaches nowadays. And it's just like, what kind of principle is this? So, yeah, the guy can be stern. He could be this. He could be that, with his casual gear on. But it's just something about that casual gear that I'm not really respecting this guy. Versus a guy that, wears a suit and tie and, he carries himself a certain kind of way. It's like, hey, man, principles here. You know what I mean? And so I do think there's something to a coach wearing it, the staff wearing it, not like how JJ Rhetoric is running around there with his, whatever the hell shoes. They're all wearing matching shoes and all this weird stuff, man. I don't have time to that, man. Just wear a suit and be a professional. That's like Isiah Thomas showing up to the set, not wearing his suit and tie and just wearing whatever the hell he rolled out of bed in, At that point, man, it's not, there's where's the line drawn, So I think coaches I think they get paid enough to wear suits, and I think they should wear suits, personally. They're not outside in the hot ass sun. They're not dealing with elements. They're in air conditioning. Wear a suit, man. So I kind of agree with that, Now, will the guys actually respect the coach? I don't know, man. That's one of those things that, you can't quantify that. But I do think that there's some merit to how you dress and present yourself. So I do think that they need to do that. But overall, again, I don't think that this is something that could be fixed with fines, or, of course, guys will stop doing it if they get fined. But I think this is a bigger situation, as you mentioned, man, where it's more of a societal thing. And it's gotten to the point, man, when I actually do get good customer service.
It's a shocker. Yeah.
It's a shocker.
Yeah.
I'm pleased by it on one hand, and on the other hand, I go, man, what the hell's wrong with you? I know you're not getting paid enough to have that, sunshines and rainbows shooting out your arse. Why are you so happy to get paid nothing? I know you don't like this. You know what I'm saying? So there's a part of me that empathize for these people that still have that mindset of, welcome to so-and-so, how may I help you? Right away, sir. It's like, damn, bro, don't right away, sir, me, man. What the hell's wrong with you, bro? Get off the damn boat. You know what I'm saying? So it's a part of me that, no longer, but if I'm at a restaurant and I took my lady out, I don't want the lady, that's serving us or the guy that's serving us being a jackass either, so it's a fine line. I think the line that I appreciate nowadays is that it's my job, bro, but I ain't gonna do you wrong. You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm on a clock. And it's a respect thing. It's not a situation of, I'm the best slave that ever, that ever chucked and jive. I don't want that either. And I damn sure don't want the person that's just like, hey, yo, F you, man. I'm just here to get a paycheck. So if it's a respect thing of, hey, man, I got a job. I know you got a job. I'm just trying to do my job. You know what I'm saying? Don't make it hard on me. I ain't gonna mess with you. The mutual respect, I can get with that nowadays. But yeah, man, I don't want to, honestly, man, I feel bad for people that are really, giving me 1990s customer service. I really feel like those people need to grow up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's that. I don't really want to see that no more. And I think that's just a sign of the times. But
what do you mean 1990s customer service?
Well, 1990s, at least when I was growing up, man, and that's when people, when they did have a job working at a window somewhere at a fast food restaurant, they had that Chick-fil-A kind of service, of wishing me a good day, and people still do that, but you know what I'm saying, like they don't do that anymore. But back in the 90s and stuff like that, I used to see good customer service everywhere. You call somebody, you got good customer service. Nowadays, everybody's just, in this weird boat. But so long as they're giving me a mutual respect, like, hey, bro, I'm just trying to do my job. Because that's what I do. Hey, man, I'm just trying to do my job. I know you got a job to do, and, vice versa. So, but anywho, man, I really think as though, I agree with you. This is a typical situation of overall frustration. Found a reason to vent. I've seen that happen in school too, where somebody did something that's not even really that bad, but now the teacher or the whoever got to go on this long rant. It's like, I know that didn't spark it, but they just seen and heard enough, and so yeah, LeBron is serving as the conduit. So yeah, man, I'm actually defending LeBron on this one. As crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but I've always compartmentalized the sports with like appropriate forms of dress when it comes to professionalism in other arenas and areas of industry. I don't know. I've always looked at, if I work in an office or a boardroom somewhere, I look at that differently. If I'm a member of the media, for example, I look at that differently than like an actual, I don't know. There's something about coaches wearing like team apparel, sweats or whatever, that doesn't really offend my sensibilities. I'm more so bothered by what I feel is a jumping the shark of player empowerment, where players are just kind of doing whatever they want because they have been coddled by an administration, the commissionership in the NBA and the front office, as well as the media in general, that just says the NBA ought to be run by players who should be able to do whatever they want. And some are able to handle that responsibility with grace, but others just mistreat it and abuse it. And the ones who mistreat it and abuse it really do give a bad name to the league overall, and really do sort of cast a bad light on the idea of what professionalism means when it comes to the sport. And in the grand scheme of the notion of professionalism, I don't know. I kind of point my eye in that direction versus whether the coach is wearing a suit or not. Although I do hear where you're coming from. I just look at a school principal or someone in the media differently than a head coach. When I played in high school, Coach Jones didn't wear a suit. He wore whatever. And it was
bro.
and it was what it was. I just I didn't really look at it that way. I just think professionalism overall is a big issue, and I don't need somebody to rah me to death. Whenever I go anywhere and I'm looking for service, I'm not looking for somebody to rah me to death, but I also don't want you to exact the frustration that you feel over the fact that you need to do that to earn a living on me, because I didn't ask for any of that, and I'm not the reason why you have to work there. And I'm not saying that as someone who's distancing himself from this. I've been that person.
Yeah.
So that's why I can say that firsthand.
In many ways, I'm still that person.
Yeah. Like I've been the person who's just so mad that I got to put these clothes on and go do this job on a beautiful Saturday afternoon.
Oh man.
That now I'm treating customers like crap, and I'm treating other employees like crap, talking bad, being disrespectful, being dismissive in the workplace. They didn't do anything to me. I've put myself in this position, and now I'm going to vent my frustration on unsuspecting people undeservedly. And it took a long time for me to mature out of that. And it's crazy to see so many grown people who still live in that energy and don't know how to mature their way out of that.
Amen.
And all I ask when it comes to professionalism is don't exact that frustration on me. I'm not the one that put you in this position to work here. And I think it's that level of apathy that has created this overall environment in which professionalism is pretty much all but completely eradicated. And when you couple that with this whole notion of, and you brought it up and it was very, very correct. There's this idea of people have lost the ability to responsibly separate their individuality from basic human decency and things that all humans should conform to for the sake of humanity, such as professionalism. So nowadays, people conflate professionmitting with being a bootlicker, submitting to the man, being a slave to management and all of this other stuff. And look, man, I've been you're talking to somebody who used to show up to work hollering about me being a modern day slave. All right. I used to get on my workstation and ask a coworker to pretend to take a wet towel and whip me as if I was an actual slave on a plantation. All right. So you can't come to me talking about how I'm trying to downplay the impact of this, because I've been that person. All right. Straight up. I've been that person. And I had to learn that me being professional in this instance, particularly to customers and people who are paying for this service, does not necessarily equate to me conforming to modern day slavery in my mind. It's a delicate balance, but it's certain things that you have to kind of mature into being able to compartmentalize. And people have largely lost the art of being able to do that. They really do believe that I'm losing some of myself if I'm choosing to be more professional. Not more professional for the company or for your boss or your supervisor, but more professional to the person who just walked in. You don't know what kind of day this person's having. You don't know if they just got into a fight with their spouse. You don't know if their kid's sick. You don't know if they just found out somebody has an illness. You don't know if one of their parents just passed away. You don't know what this person has going on. But you're going to treat them nastily because of your reality. And you're going to feel like if you treat them well, you're somehow relinquishing who you are because you need to be professional. And there's a lot of that going on, I feel. And I feel like professional sports, the NBA in particular, is a microcosm of that dynamic playing out. And I feel like that's what Isiah Thomas was railing against. The last thing that I'll say real quick, my previous professional position, we hired this one guy who was supposed to be this super talented guy who was supposed to this guy was supposed to be the end. He was supposed to be the one. He was Neo. He was Neo. He was the one who was supposed to save us and deliver us to Zion, get us unplugged from the Matrix. He had all the keys. He was this fancy photographer. He had all of these artistic skills. He was a social media wizard. He had all of this bravado and expertise and just genius intellect when it comes to creativity and how to help a marketing team. So we hired this guy. This guy shows up. He can't do basic things. He can't follow instructions. He can't take notes from one day to the next. He can't remember simple details. He does not actually execute his job with any level of competency. He doesn't know what he's doing. You give him a 2-hour-long training session, and you try to check on his progress to see if he's actually doing any of the things that you trained him on. 7-10 days later, he's done none of it. And to boot, he'd show up to meetings, and I kid you not, I am not making this up. This guy would show up to meetings shirtless. It's a professional environment, bro. Like you're at work. This guy would show up to meetings with literally no shirt on. At one point, I was sitting on a meeting with this guy, and he's at his home shirtless, and somebody who he lives with walks past the camera completely nude. completely nude. And the crazy thing about that is the thought that might be unprofessional and therefore he needs to maybe button that up never even crossed his mind. It never crossed his mind. And it never crossed his mind because in his world, professionalism is more of a luxury than it being a necessity. So we've jumped the shark with a lot of this stuff. And look, man, I'm the first guy to go anti-establishment, anti-corporation, anti-management. You know me, I'm one of the first people lined up on that anti-disestablishmentarianism stuff. All right. I'll be the first guy railing about modern day slavery, labor versus management, corporations, and all of this stuff. I'm the first guy to rail against that. But at the end of the day, there's a certain modicum of decency that you have to accord yourself professionally when it comes to the unsuspecting person who has nothing to do with your reality. And people just don't know how to compartmentalize these things. And so I think the league is a part of that, not with LeBron. Like I said, LeBron warming up for 6 hours before the game starts with his shirt off. I'm not really too bothered by that. I'm more bothered by James Harden and his "get me out of here, I'm upset." Jimmy Butler, "get me out of here, I feel disrespected." Ben Simmons, "I quit, I don't want to play basketball." "Oh, you need a reason?" "Oh, my mental health is messed up." Zion, "give me $200 million even though I'm going to stay fat and always be hurt and get strippers and corn stars pregnant." That is what I'm more offended by than LeBron playing with his shirt off. So I hear where Isaiah was coming from, and I do kind of feel like he was speaking in generalities, but using LeBron as his method to be able to do that.
Yeah, man. And that's a wild story, bro. Showing up to the meetings shirtless.
Literally shirt. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a mistake, and it caught me so off guard. I didn't know what to say. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like,
I would have told bro to put his shirt on. I would have like, bro, put your shirt on, dog.
I was so caught off guard because not in my wildest dreams would I expect that or anticipate it. So
he knew it was going to be a one-on-one, right? That's what it was, right?
That's what I'm saying. The idea that doing that is unprofessional, never crossed his mind.
That's crazy.
It never crossed his mind. He never thought to himself, is wearing no shirt at work on a meeting unprofessional? He never thought about it. That is humanity right there. That is cultural. That's societal. And I think it is dripped into the recesses of a lot of aspects of our modern society, sports being one of them, but everywhere else. I don't care where you go. It's like I said, grocery stores, corporate offices, fast food, drive-through windows, call centers, customer service. I don't give a damn. I am almost surprised nowadays when I get professionalism on a call center, because people are so apathetic. They hate their lives so much. They're so miserable. And I feel them. I do. I feel
Yeah,
you.
man, it's
I
rough
feel
over there.
it's a catch-22 because I feel you. I am as sympathetic and empathetic towards the notion of being involved in modern day slavery as the next person. Trust me, I did it for the longest and I continue to do it to this day. So I get it. But at the same time, you don't know what this person's like. I feel like we need to do a better job of just treating other humans with respect.
That's
When you
all
don't,
that's yeah.
when you don't know what they're going through,
Right.
and being more professionalism is inherent in doing that. And I think we've just lost the art of it.
Yeah, and that's to me, that's the definition of being professional nowadays, is just being respectful. And so that's why I say, hey, man. And to me, the baseline of that is, hey, bro, I got to work here, bro. I don't want to wear these uniforms. I don't want to be here. And I damn sure don't want to wrap your damn burrito. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? What you want on there, bro? And he was talking to me like that, but he's like, hey, man, what's up, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm being a, bro. I get it, dog. Like, you got to be here. I'm about to go take this and go watch the game. And you got to be in here. So I'm not trying to be extra on him either. And so I think what people need to realize is this whole notion of this person's my servant because they work here. Even the customer need to calm their ass down.
They do, yes. Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, man, you got to understand that guy is working wrapping burritos, not because he loves wrapping burritos. So respect him, bro. And yeah, he is on Saturday morning. I'm about to go watch the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's just a respect from both ends of the spectrum out in public. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But yeah, last thing here, man. Isiah Thomas must have thought I forgot. And by the way, I'm a huge Isiah Thomas fan, man. I feel like, on the court, man, the guy was an absolute ball, especially for his time. All right. But I didn't forget Isiah. All right. Before the tip off, all right, you was out there kissing Magic Johnson in the mouth. This is why y'all wearing uniforms. No, this is why y'all wearing uniforms. This is why the TV is recording y'all. You know what I'm saying? That's not professional. If anybody should have got fined, your ass should have got fined for making out with another player. Don't call that sport. And they try to tell me it's sportsmanship. That ain't sportsmanship. I guess Greek and Roman sportsmanship. But that ain't how we do it nowadays, man. So Isiah, I didn't forget about that, Playboy. All right, I know what you did last summer, man.
You had to get that in there.
I mean, hey, holler that and any opportunity, bro. I'm not gonna let that.
All right, that's all right. That's cool. That's fine.
Professional.
They were doing the Diddy party. So they were doing the Diddy
mid-court.
The Diddy, yeah.
Mid-court.
That was the Diddy greeting. They were doing the Diddler greeting on that.
Oh,
hey, look, man, shouts out to Isiah Thomas. I feel where you're coming from, brother. But yeah, professionalism and the lack of it is something that is going on across the board in humanity. It's not just in the NBA. And I do feel you about people being dismissive and disrespectful towards labor. That is also an issue. That's a serious problem as well. It's contributing to the madness for sure. So you do bring up a good point with that. But all the way around, and it takes me back to my central, it's one of the things that I live by and I'll die by. People in general just need to have respect for one another in public spaces.
That's it.
It's something that I mention a lot in various topics on this channel, and it's something that I notice is just almost completely gone. And that's everybody, people behind the counter, people in front of the counter. It's all just a lot of bad, evil vibes and energy feeding upon one another. And it really is problematic.
And honestly, bro, and if that gets fixed, bro, or it gets better, the world does become a better place.
It really does. So, it really does.
So yeah, man, a lot more respect out there. So yeah, man, treat everybody, the person at the car wash, you name it, man. You know what I'm saying? Just treat them with respect, man. And it goes a long way because you end up getting the better service than all the other people because you're showing them respect.
Take it from a guy who used to provide service. You really do. You really do. It really is true. I used to feel so motivated to give people the best quality food I can when they were nice to me when they walked in. So, you know, it really does. It really does make a difference.